show. We are here with my special guest, Terry Kerr. Terry Kerr is the owner of Mid-South Home Buyers based in Memphis, Tennessee. And Terry, for the last 6 years, has been flipping, retailing, and wholesaling properties on a full-time basis. And he brings a tremendous amount of knowledge to the show. And today we're going to find out a little bit more about flipping and how to do that. So welcome to the show, Terry.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Good to have you here. Tell me a little bit about how you got into this business.
I got into the business about 8 years ago, and it was out of necessity. Wanted a nice house to live in. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and we're trying to keep overhead low. So instead of buying a pretty house, we went out and found an ugly house. Actually, it had been vacant for 13 years, and spent 7 months working nights and weekends learning how to fix houses up. And moved into the property. So for me, it was out of necessity. I did not buy my first foreclosure thinking that I was going to get into the business full time.
Right. Sounds like it worked out well for you. You've been doing this full time for 6 years.
I love it.
Well, it's great. So tell me a little bit about what flipping property means. I know that there's wholesaling, there's retailing, there's two ends of it. You can be labeled a dealer, you can be labeled a retailer, but explain to me the difference in these areas of flipping property.
Sure. I do not pigeonhole myself as to, whether I'm a wholesaler or a retailer or whatnot. I do a little bit of all of it. But regardless of what method I end up or exit strategy I end up with, I am turning the property. So for me, I'm going to buy a house that is a distressed property. Most of the time it's going to be a foreclosure. I'm going to fix the property up and either sell it retail to an individual that's going to live in the property, or I'll fix it up, put a tenant in the property, and cash flow on it as a personal rental for myself, and then sell that property with a tenant in it, cash flowing, to another real estate investor that wants to hold it for their rental portfolio.
Or you might just keep it for yourself as your own rental income property.
Yes, I do. I don't sell everything that I rehab.
Well, it's the benefit of being in the business. You can pick and choose what you want to keep and then sell the rest and flip it for a profit.
That's true.
So one question that really plagues investors is how to find property. What are your sources for sourcing out properties? The first thing I think investors think of is a realtor, which is a good source, a reliable source. They have access to a lot of distressed property, could be REOs, which are real estate owned properties. But how do you source property, and what are the various options there?
There are many ways to find distressed properties. Predominantly the houses that I'm buying are foreclosures, and I am buying foreclosures that are listed on the MLS, and they're listed by real estate agents that pretty much specialize in the sale of foreclosed property. Sometimes I'll buy a house that is not a foreclosure. It's just maybe somebody who has retired and wanting to liquidate their rental portfolio, and I'll buy them at a discount. But for the most part, the low-hanging fruit in today's market is going to be foreclosed properties, and you're going to find those properties listed on the MLS by agents that specialize in selling foreclosures.
Is that your exclusive source, at least for you and your business model?
Right now, in today's market, I would say that 99% of the properties that I'm buying fit that description. So
for an investor just getting started, would you recommend that that's where they begin, with a competent local agent?
I would. Before going to a competent local agent, I would pick a part of town. Regardless of where you live, you want to focus in on a specific neighborhood or zip code. Don't try to learn the whole market. So it might be a place that is between where you live and where you work. That way you can check out properties going to work and coming home from work. So pick a neighborhood, learn that neighborhood, and then get with a real estate agent that can help pull comps for you so you can really study the market.
Let's talk about funding. This is an area that's nebulous to a lot of investors. You find a property, let's say you've checked it out, you've done your research initially, you maybe have put a contract in, but you haven't closed. How does an investor finance these opportunities? Maybe give us an example too, and even talk about how you're doing it.
Okay, I'll tell you how I started doing it and give a couple of examples on the way a new investor might go about funding their first deal. For me, I borrowed money from a private lender to buy my first deal. And one of the things that I'm going to suggest is once an investor has done some due diligence, identified what a good deal is, and got that good deal under contract, go to your local real estate investment club and look for private lenders. There are private lenders at your local real estate investment clubs that are looking for people just like you to loan money to. You don't have to have a lot of experience. They're just wanting to loan money on a deal based on the equity. Nowadays, I am borrowing money from my local banks. Local banks will loan money a lot cheaper than a private investor will.
Right.
However, a new investor is not going to have the ability to walk into a local bank unless you've got really deep pockets. Not going to be able to walk into a local bank and borrow money. Banks want to see a track record. So again, find the deal, go to your local real estate investment club, or tap your own warm market of friends and family that may want to loan you money on this deal.
Now, most people think about hard money when it comes to distressed properties. Is that something that you have used in the past and maybe don't use now, and do you recommend new investors look at using hard money? And hard money, by the way, is short-term financing. It's typically a little more expensive, but a hard money lender will finance up to 65-70% of your acquisition and repairs. But is that something that...
I have used tons of hard money, private money. I've used it many, many times, and I think it's a terrific source for individuals to start their real estate investing career. Another good thing about borrowing from private lenders is most private lenders that you're going to find have been loaning private money for quite a while, and you're not only going to be able to borrow money from them, but you're going to be able to learn something about the real estate industry and the real estate business
Right.
and investing from your lender, which is not something you're going to get from your local bank.
Yeah, and I think going to a real estate club is a good idea because I've gone to real estate investor clubs, for example, in Los Angeles, where there are guys walking around with signs on their chest and on their back, just handwritten on a piece of cardboard saying, hard money loans, ask me, ? Or whatever it is. And so there are people out there that have money,
Certainly.
don't want to do rehabbing on their own, but are looking for people that are going to do the work, lend the money, and they turn over that money and make money on their capital.
That's
So-
exactly right. If you go out and find a good deal, finding the money is not going to be the problem if you go to your local real estate investment club.
One thing that I think scares investors is fixing up the property. So now they've found the property, they've got some financing, whether it's
Right.
private money, hard money, whatever the case is. And now it comes down to working with contractors and fix up. So let's break this down.
Okay?
Let's talk about finding contractors.
All right. I'll tell you how I found contractors in the beginning. Now I've got 4 full-time rehab crews, so I'm not having to look for contractors anymore. But what I did and what I'm going to suggest anyone who is new to the business do is have what I call the Saturday powwow. What the Saturday powwow is you find a piece of property that you want to make an offer on. You don't know how much to make the offer for because you don't know how much the repairs are going to cost. So what you do is go to your local hardware store, could be a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and go early in the morning because the best contractors, the real go-getters, are going to get there as soon as the hardware store opens. So you've picked out a property that you want to make an offer on, and you go to your local hardware store with some business cards or just index cards or whatnot to hand your name out, your number out, and the property address out. And you give that card to several roofers, electricians, plumbers, tile guys, general handyman types, and you let these individuals know that on Saturday they should come by and check out the property and make a bid for the work. what's going to happen on that Saturday is you're going to get educated by the different individuals that come through to give you these bids. So in the
Great
morning,
idea.
you didn't know what was going on. At the end of the day, you've got several bids
Perfect.
by different contractors.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.